So, fam, we are back with Michelle Scarlett. We are continuing our conversation that we started last week. I'm sure that you are as intrigued as we are to know more about Michelle's journey. She has overcome so much in her life. She's an accomplished poet, writer, advocate, and Michelle has been very open about sharing her life's journey with us and where she is now. We're looking forward to hearing some more detail about where she is in her life and some of the things she has gone through. And we just hope that it will continue, her story will continue to be a blessing to someone today. So let's welcome Michelle again for the second time around.
You spoke a little bit about teenage pregnancy in your introduction, but what was life like for you then, being a teenage mother? What was it?
Shan, what a question. I felt like I was in a different world. Like it was just me against the entire world, right? Even though my son's father was there, he was a teen like myself. And so he was just being teen. And you know how our culture kind of more to support the men, even though they were teens. They were like, lift it up. Oh, you got somebody pregnant. Oh, you're the man now, kind of thing, right?
Yes,
While the young lady is worthless and good for nothing for, giving up their bodies to somebody else at that age, right? And so I felt, so even looking at him, I thought he was looking at me in disgust, even though he was the one who got me pregnant, because now I'm not a, beautiful teenager anymore. I'm a pregnant teen, right? And I just felt like everyone who looked at me was judging me. I just felt like, I wish I could just disappear, honestly. I felt like, I'm lost. I'm alone. I'm hungry. I'm tired. I cry every single night. I cry. At one time I tried to get rid of the baby, right? I didn't know anything about abortion. So I would, fall off the steps, right? Or punch my belly so hard, like just give it a punch. I just wanted it to go away. Just go away. Just, my life is already hell, right? Living at home with people who didn't want me, didn't love me, right? And then I go get pregnant. So every day I woke up, I didn't want to wake up. I got up and I opened my eyes. I'm like, it's another day of being pregnant. How many more months do I have to go? I'm only 4 months pregnant. God. And I keep counting down the days that this thing would just come out of me, just come out, right? Just leave me alone, because I wasn't looking at it like, oh, I'm pregnant and I'm going to have a baby. I felt like this thing was here to destroy me even more. Right. And so, it was just hell. It was just hell. So even when I was going to the women's center, I either got up early so I could go early so nobody would see me, or I would just not go. I'd be just locked up in the room saying, I don't want to come out. I don't want this person to see me. I don't want the questions. I don't want, I would be passing somebody's house and they'd be like, little girl, are you pregnant? And I'm like, God, can people just leave me alone? Just leave me alone. Let me be. And so it was the worst time in my life.
Oh, wow.
Worst. Lonely, no friends. My classmate, schoolmate was living up the street from me, and she didn't come to look for me. She didn't come to visit me. We used to go to school together every morning, and I was like, why can't she just stop and say hello? What did I do? What that was so wrong that I know for a fact that other females in my class was having sex. Right? I know for a fact they were. So how come that when I did it, I was so bad, right?
Yeah.
Because you just, right?
Yeah.
Caught. That's the thing.
You got caught. Yeah. Yeah.
What's happening? And then the worst part was, I don't even remember that moment, right? Yeah. I don't know if it's because it was traumatic, but until today, I can't remember that moment that got me this baby, right? And I keep trying to remember. I'm like, what happened? Like, so on
Yeah.
top of the fact that I'm pregnant and I hear all these girls talking about sex and how enjoyable it was, I didn't have that experience, right?
Right.
And I thought for sure God was out to get me. This God that's supposed to look after me, where's God? Right? So I started questioning all these things, like, and all the people that used to invite me to church, where are they? Right? This is a time that I need you guys. This is a time that you should come to me and talk to me and encourage me. But everybody disappeared.
Right.
Yeah.
There was nobody. And here I was living in or I think it was a 2-bedroom apartment with 4 boys, right?
Mhm.
Just me. And none of them understood. They're all teenagers. None of them understood what I was going through. And I was crying and I smelled bad. And, because I don't have deodorant. And, I just didn't want to take a shower anyway. I was just depressed, right? So they would pass me and smell me and go, you know how boys are. They don't hold back what they're thinking, right? So they would just stink. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Maybe I'll take a shower, maybe not, It was just hell. It was just the worst time in my life.
It was difficult, Michelle. And, you're saying so much just now, and I have to think, what support other than the Woman Center did you have? Was there anybody else that was there as a support system for you during this time, or was it just the Woman Center?
Well, the yard that I ended up living is kind of like a one big house with a whole bunch of females who lived there, right? And most of them were teen moms.
Okay.
But they were all poor too. And the same situation and whatever, but the thing is, 4 women in there and they were all teen moms. And then I'm like, so we supported each other in that way. Right. So they knew, they were older than me. So they knew that the things I needed, and so they would talk to me about what to do, what to eat, what to not eat. And that's as much the support that they could give because they were trying to survive themselves.
Yeah.
All right. So, I depended on them and they kind of looked out for me also. So if they cooked, they would make sure I ate if they could. And it was just us in the yard, a bunch of kids and a bunch of pregnant women. And so we were just like that. So, but most of the support came from the Women's Center. Yes.
Okay.
Your poem again, The Thing Inside Me, that's specifically in relation to that, your pregnancy experience then. Can you talk to us a little bit about that poem?
So it's basically what I just talked about and how, I was really, so let me take a look here and, just really what I was going through. Just like I said, my friends talked about sex and said it was fun and it was exciting and I was looking forward to that. And I wanted to fit in also. So I decided to go kiss this boy, right? And this boy wanted more than kiss, right? And I wanted the experience. I really did want the experience, but I was also scared because we knew growing up that we weren't supposed to be having sex as a teen, right? And so in my mind, I wanted to feel what these other girls were feeling because that also equaled love to me.
Right.
And then so when I got pregnant and there was something growing in me without me having the experience of having sex, I was like, this is weird. There's something inside me. It's growing, so every day I would look at my stomach to see how much the thing is growing, right? And I would touch it touch the sides and I'm thinking, this is the head, this must be the butt, this must be, and at times it was exciting. I won't lie. At times when it kind of moved, I was like, oh, the thing moved, and I was like, I wanted somebody to experience that with me. Of course, there was nobody for me to tell. I would probably come outside the next day and said, oh, the baby moved, And as it got closer to me giving birth and people talked about how painful it was and I was dreading giving birth because, you hear of women dying of, when they're having children and stuff like that. So, and I was tiny, I looked like 9, At 14, I looked like 9. And so it was a nightmare, right? And I just wanted it out. At that point, now I'm 9 months pregnant and still look like 9. And now I'm not going to the women's center because I could hardly carry myself because I usually walk there.
Right.
And so, but I knew I wanted it out at whatever cost. So once I got to the hospital and I knew it was time, I was afraid, but I was like, okay, I'm pushing. Even when the nurses told me it wasn't time, I was pushing because I wanted it out, And they were saying, you have to save your energy. The baby's not ready to come out. And I'm like, I just want it out. And so the moment the child was born and there was a relief, right? And no, I'm actually a mother because it's not real until it's real, right? The baby comes out and they're telling me to look at my baby, and I'm like, I'm not looking, right? It's like, what? A baby, And they, I think I went to sleep because I was really tired. And then after I got up, they took the baby back to me and say, you have to feed your baby. And I'm like, oh, okay, what?
Right.
What do I use to feed this baby? I thought for sure they were going to give me a bottle. I did not know they were going to make me, a 15-year-old, feed a baby, right? Yeah. So I'm looking at the nurse going, tell me.
No sense.
How do I hold this little tiny thing? I was so afraid to even touch it, right? Because it's a tiny thing and I might break it, right? And I'm looking and she's going, hold your hand, because of course I'm still being scolded, right?
Yes.
Hold your hand, put your hand like this. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, oh my God, and they're putting it in and they're like, okay, this is what you do. And the nurse helped me to clean my breast and everything. And then, the thing latched on and it became real. And oh my God. And I mean, it was an amazing experience. And now I'm crying, right? And I'm looking at the baby and I'm like, oh my God, it's mine. It's my thing, right? It's my own thing. I'm talking to you and I'm filled with tears, but it belongs to me. It's the first time I've ever owned anything, right? Oh. And it was just a different feeling. I knew it was going to be hard. I knew I didn't have money. I knew I didn't have a job. I wasn't thinking at that moment what was going to happen then. I was just thinking I have something I own.
Oh,
right?
Wow.
Yes. And so, of course, for a while, I treated it like it was a doll. I changed the baby and fed it every 2 seconds and, changed the clothes and have it outside and doing things until the reality kicked in 3 months later. You're like, okay, now what? The toy is not new anymore, right? What's going to happen now?
Yeah.
More food. You can't just feed it milk or stuff like that anymore. Where am I going to get these things from now? And that's when the hardship kicked in, because there are days when I really didn't have anything to give this baby. Then sugar and water, right? And of course, here I am a teen again. I have this baby, don't really have the support of my family, don't have a job, and it's possible I might get pregnant again because, of course, he's going to want sex. I'm living in his house.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And so I decided to go stay with my grandmother. And from there on, life just started happening. I mean, I had to give the baby up, of course, to go back to school. My father still wouldn't take me back, but, eventually I did what I had to do. So that's the thing inside me. That's how that I dealt with that part of it.
Amazing.
Pregnant at 14? How could that be? I don't remember what happened. Did he even penetrate me? My friend said it was fun, but I can't remember a thing. I have to ask for forgiveness now, for I committed a sin. Before you be a mother, be a woman. The song on the radio played. Can anything else go wrong in my life? And what of the rest of my days? I am already an outcast. Dear God, why me? Why is this happening? I only kissed him. Such a lonely, shameful place to be. Finally, the truth is out. I can't hide it anymore. My dad kicked me out of his house. I'm 3 months going on 4. Before there's a baby, there should be a spouse. I watched through the window as my friends go back to school. I'm pregnant because I broke a Bible rule. I looked at my stomach. All I felt was disgust. I barely had anything on my chest one could call a bust. I cried for 9 months, and every day I prayed. I did believe in miracles, but this thing won't go away. It woke me up at the crack of dawn. I'm in so much pain. It must be ready to come out now. God knows. I felt the same. The thing finally came out of me. Oh, what a relief. Hey, nurse, leave me alone now. I just want to go to sleep. It's time to feed it now. I don't know what to do. I'm scared. I'm nervous. Will someone show me how? I held the thing in my hand. This surely feels weird. Its mouth opened to my breast. I felt a drop of tear. Again, something moved inside me. I felt it to my core. I think this is love. The thing is not a thing anymore. I wonder what God was thinking. A mini human being. I can't even take care of myself. I'm only 15. I looked deep into his eyes, maybe hoping to see what the future holds for my baby boy and me.
Part of it.
Amazing,
And
amazing.
I mean, throughout your story, we see points of, depression. You talked about depression.
Mhm.
You talked, you can see the low self-esteem coming through, like you're not feeling worthy, and we heard you talk about that coming from early childhood, like how you were treated and so on. But how were you able to overcome those times in life when the depression threatened to take over, and you had to sort of lift yourself and build your confidence? What was that like how did those things, how did you overcome all that?
Um, you know what's funny? As a teen, when I gave my son up, I don't feel like I was depressed. I was just living day to day. It's whatever, right? Somebody would have me sleep at their house, or sleep on my grandmother's veranda. It's whatever. I just know that the next day comes and I have to live again and I have to figure it out, right? So I was just figuring out until when I had my second child. Um, I lived on my own at that point, and then I realized after my second child's father said he didn't want a baby, and I realized, my God, I'm doing the same thing again, you
Mhm.
know? And that really, because I figured after I went back to school and I graduated high school and I started working at Half Moon, I figured, I was showing people I was doing my thing, even though I was a teen mom, I'm working at Half Moon, Holiday Inn, I'm in HR, so I'm doing great, right? And then I got pregnant again. And I realized I didn't even have myself really together, with my first child. I just started getting life together, and then I go get pregnant. So that's when I really got depressed. And I didn't even know it was depression. I didn't know what to name it until I did psychology when I came here, right? I just knew I was going through something. And I was there, and then I lost my job because I was so depressed. I wasn't focused at my job. I went to work late, and I just couldn't believe this thing was happening to me because I was so careful after I had my first baby not to get pregnant again, and to hold my head up, and because I had so much to prove to all these people who did not believe in me, right? So I felt like I worked so hard to be where I was at 26 for this to happen to me again,
Yeah.
Mhm.
for this man to say, I don't want this child,
Mhm.
for me to be alone and pregnant at the second time.
Mhm.
Like, what is happening? So at that time, I used to go to church. I stopped going to church. I stopped praying. I just lay there, every day, just lay there. And where I lived, there was not a lot of people in that community. My best friend moved away and came to live in America. So it was just me and my baby. And so every morning I would get up and look at the baby and go, what the heck happened? So now I'm jobless, right? I have this baby. And my son, I couldn't take care of, Peter. I couldn't take care of him the way I wanted to. So I asked his dad to take him for a minute. And I realized the more I stayed home by myself, the more I don't want to eat. It took me, a while to realize when my baby's crying that it needed food or it needed to be changed, or it just wasn't sinking in, right? Nothing was, it wasn't real, because I'm staying and looking in the ceiling and, wondering, and thoughts came and I couldn't sleep at night. So the nighttime, oh my God, I dreaded the nighttime because I know I couldn't sleep. And then I dreaded the day because I know I would be alone, right? And, the thoughts would come of what happened, how it happened, and how many people are judging me again, and I'm back to square one, right? But I don't even know how I got through, other than one day I was there and, the stove was on. I could hear, flickering in the background, like the fire was, or whatever it is in the pot was burning. I could hear, and I couldn't get up.
Wow.
My son was crying and I couldn't get up, but I was awake, but I couldn't move.
Yes.
And I'm like, what? And I felt this like darkness, like I was in this dark, it was daylight, but I was in this dark room by myself, and there was this energy holding me down, right? And I couldn't move, and I realized, oh my God, I have to get out of here.
Right.
I have to leave. I have to go where people are, even if it's with the people who don't like me. At least I'll have somebody to talk to, or something to do, or whatever. But I have to go. So that day, I turned the stove off in the house, and I packed my bags and my son's bag, and I went to my father's house. Of course, they wanted me there. I wasn't working. I have a baby, another baby, right? And so I went to my father's house, and I just showed up, and everybody was looking like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I'm going to stay here for a while and look for jobs because it's easier. But really, I was like lost again. And, I did what I had to do each day, and I would stay at my friend's house all day so I wouldn't burden, the people at my father's house, my sisters and all that. You could tell they were like upset, that I was there. You could tell they didn't want me there. My stepmother wouldn't talk some days, and my father would come in and complain about the diaper being in the wrong place or something. There was always something. And I realized I had my son, Peter, that I had to work hard to get back in my life. And so I started doing what I need. I said, Michelle, you got to get out of this. You got to do what you have to do. And you have to keep trying, because here's your son, who you gave back to his father, who you don't know what he's feeling, because I knew I felt rejection. Right. So I'm wondering if he's feeling rejection, even though he was with his father. So I never wanted that. Right. So I always tried to have them with me. Right. And if they wanted to leave where I was, it would be their choice. Right. But I never want them to feel the rejection that I felt. Right. And so, I got myself together. It was a day-by-day process. You never know. You will go to bed tonight and think positive thoughts, and tomorrow you feel differently, because you would wake up and realize there's nothing to eat. So you go back in that state again, right? And then something would turn, and you were like, okay, life is turning. But then it was just for that moment. Like I got a job, and it lasted like 6 weeks. Back to square one again. And, so I made the brave, conscious effort of moving away from all of that. And I figured I needed to change my environment for me to be able to move forward, because there are so many things reminding me of what I didn't like about myself. Right? There's so many things. My father was there, my stepmother was there, my sisters, but the whole environment was like a reminder constantly in my face. And so I figured the only thing I can do is move away, change the environment, and see if that would help me, overcome some of the things I've been through.
Right. And you know what, Michelle, sometimes you just have to be desperate about your healing.
Yes.
Right? just have to do the unthinkable things. And even though you did not want to return back to that unhealthy situation, it was like the far better evil than staying in a dismal situation where your depression just held you down and literally
kept you stuck. Yeah.
Kept you stuck. So sometimes you just have to be desperate for your healing at whatever cost, no matter what. You just have to be desperate to say, I need to do this because I need to make myself whole to get my children back.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was really good just to sit here and just to hear your journey and your story, and you know, and everything that you've gone through. You've really even spoken to us and spoken to me even today.
We want to encourage you to just keep pushing forward. You've accomplished so much. I'm personally very proud of you. I knew you that 13, 14-year-old stage, right? So I am so proud of you. I'm so proud of all that you've accomplished, all that you've overcome. There's been so much positive messages in you just talking to us today, and we know that it will touch someone. And before we let you go, I just wanted to know, is there any last thought, anything you want to leave with somebody, something we may not have asked you about, but anything you want to say to the viewers who will see this before we go?
Yes. So even though I have accomplished so much, even though I wrote this book, even though, you know, I'm at a place where I'm completely happy with myself, I still don't know if I know how to love.
Wow.
I still don't know if I know, I mean, the intimate love. I still don't know what that's supposed to feel like, right? So maybe I am in love, maybe I am loving. I know I love in general, like people, right? But I don't know that, and I don't know if I will ever get there either, that feeling that you're supposed to feel when you love somebody. I don't even know if I have that in me. So I'm still working on that part of me, knowing if I do love this person, because I realize because I've been hurt so many times, I think I still have up this barrier to get to me. And because of that, it's easy for me to just move out of a relationship. Right? It's easy for me to just say go and feel nothing. So I'm wondering, is that love, or is that because I love myself too much, or is that the way it's supposed to be? Is it healthy? I don't know. I mean, right now I'm in a very healthy relationship, but you know, so I don't know. So I'm still struggling with that part. And I am working to find out if I am in love or I do love. I don't know. So,
but you know, Michelle, for my thought on just that in general is that we are, as humans, I acknowledge, I accept, and I truly believe that we are forever evolving.
Right.
Until we're at that point where we're not taking another breath, we're continuing to evolve. And we should allow that process to happen, right?
Yes.
And I think the first critical part of you even learning or wanting to learn is that self-awareness that you don't know.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so you just even acknowledging the fact that you think you don't know is a step. Right?
It's room for you to want to find out. And so because I want to know, then I'm going to go seeking, you know, so I'm going to do reading or speaking to people on love, on what they feel, and, you know, consciously look at the things I'm doing and the things I'm saying each day to this person. You know, am I hurting them? You know, so I'm conscious every day. So if I say something, I'm like, did that come out right? Am I supposed to apologize? You know, and if he does something, I'm like, am I supposed to hurt? Or was my response correct? Because I'm conscious, because I want to know, is this love? Is this where it's going to be? Is this man going to be with me for the rest of my life? Or is this what I'm looking for? So that's the journey that I'm on right now, finding out if I really can love.
Yes.
And that is a great way to part with you, Michelle, to show that, we're still working on ourselves.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right. And as Tam says, we're all evolving, and great level of insights, openness, and vulnerability to say that, listen, I am here and I am still growing. I'm still learning who Michelle is.
Yes.
And I am me.
Yes.
Right. So thank you so much, Michelle. This was amazing sitting with you and hearing your story. As Tam said, I look forward to your new book.
Thank you, guys.
That journey with you.
Thank you very much. Keep up the good work, you guys. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye.